A ship longer than 2 football fields. 44 lives aboard. A captain with decades of experience. And then, gone. No distress signal. No debris. Nothing. In 1980, the MV Derbyshire, a state-of-the-art British cargo ship carrying 150,000 tons of ore, vanished during Typhoon Orchid. For years, the official story was simple. The sea swallowed her. But what if the truth was darker? What if the storm was just the final push for a ship already destined to fail? Today, we dive deep into a 14-year battle for truth. A story of silence, cover-ups, courage, and justice. On September 9, 1980, the MV Derbyshire sailed through one of the most dangerous typhoons in the Pacific, Typhoon Orchid. Despite the treacherous weather, Captain Jeffrey Underhill, a highly experienced mariner, remained calm. He did what all trained captains do in storms, slowed down the ship, turned its bow into the waves, and trusted that Derbyshire could withstand nature's fury. But as the typhoon intensified, something unexpected happened. The ship vanished silently. No mayday call, no emergency signal, not even a floating barrel was found. It was as if a giant hand had plucked the 294-meter vessel from the ocean. Shockingly, it wasn't until 6 full days later that the Derbyshire was even declared missing. By then, it was too late. A brief, fruitless search followed, then silence. The maritime authorities concluded she sank in the storm. No investigation, no hard questions, just a line in the logbook of maritime history. But for the 44 families waiting for answers, this explanation felt like an insult. Something was deeply wrong. To understand the Derbyshire's mysterious disappearance, we must look at how she was born. Built in 1976 at Britain's Swan Hunter shipyard, the Derbyshire was part of the new Bridge class of OBO carriers, or bulk oil. These massive ships were designed for versatility and built under immense economic pressure during a shipping boom. But speed came at a cost. Many Bridge-class ships were constructed quickly with minimal oversight. Surveyors later noted that welds looked rushed and several vessels showed early signs of cracking. In fact, there were known structural issues in this ship class that were patched quietly without informing the public or regulatory bodies. The Derbyshire, despite being brand new, may have been sailing with a fatal flaw from the start, a ticking time bomb waiting for the right storm to trigger it. Among those lost on the Derbyshire was 22-year-old Paul Ridyard, an engineer. His father, Peter Ridyard, a seasoned ship surveyor, refused to believe the sea simply took the ship. Using his technical background, Peter began investigating. What he found was horrifying. Several other Bridge-class ships had suffered serious cracking, specifically in the same area near the bow. Some of these ships were quietly repaired, patched, up and sent back out, business as usual. Peter connected with other families and began pressuring the government for answers. But officials pushed back. They denied any link between the Derbyshire's loss and structural flaws. Instead, they insisted it was just bad weather. Peter wasn't just fighting for his son. He was fighting for every seafarer aboard these ships and every family left in the dark. His journey from grieving father to maritime justice warrior would become one of the most powerful parts of this story. In 1986, 6 years after the Derbyshire disappeared, tragedy struck again. Another Bridge-class ship, the Kowloon Bridge, broke, apart during a storm. This time, it wasn't so easy to blame nature. The similarities between the two incidents were striking. Public pressure surged. Families, journalists, and maritime experts joined forces. With mounting scrutiny and undeniable patterns emerging, the British government had no choice. They were forced to reopen the Derbyshire case. Yet the authorities still claimed the wreck couldn't be found. The ocean was too deep. The search would cost too much, and there was still no evidence of structural failure. But behind closed doors, those excuses were unraveling. Frustrated with official inaction, the International Transport Workers Federation, alongside families like the Ridyards, decided to take matters into their own hands. In 1994, they privately funded a deep-sea search mission. Experts, driven by passion and persistence, began the operation with a hope and a lot of doubt. The seafloor was massive. The ship could be anywhere. But then, something incredible happened. After just 23 hours of scanning, they found the Derbyshire. Let that sink in. The British government had said it was impossible to locate the wreck for 14 years, and it took a privately funded team less than a day to find it. It wasn't just a win for the families, it was a global embarrassment for the institutions that had failed them. What they discovered beneath the ocean shattered the official story. The Derbyshire's bow had collapsed inward. Steel plating was bent and crushed in ways consistent with structural failure, not storm damage. The hatch covers had failed, water had rushed in, and the ship went down fast. Over 6 years of forensic marine investigation proved that Derbyshire had not simply succumbed to waves. It had broken apart because it wasn't strong enough. Years of denials, bureaucratic dismissals, and institutional arrogance were exposed. The typhoon hadn't destroyed the Derbyshire. Her own design had. Thanks to the persistence of families, independent experts, and international activists, the official cause of the Derbyshire's sinking was finally revised. It was a structural design flaw, a fatal weakness in the very bones of the ship. This revelation didn't just vindicate the victims, it changed international law. New rules for cargo ship design were introduced, safety standards were revised, and pressure was placed on shipbuilders to prioritize lives over profit. For the first time, those lost on the Derbyshire were no longer just names on a plaque. They were symbols of a hard-fought victory for truth, safety, and accountability. Today, the story of the MV Derbyshire lives on, not as a tragedy, but as a turning point. A moment in history where grieving families refused to be ignored, where a father's fight changed the course of maritime safety. The Derbyshire wasn't just a lost ship. She was the last British merchant vessel to sink in peacetime. And her legacy is in every stronger ship built since, in every regulation made stricter, and in every sailor who sails today with just a little more safety beneath their feet. The MV Derbyshire is more than rusted metal at the bottom of the sea. It's a monument to the power of truth and to the strength of families who never gave up. So the next time someone says, "It was just a storm," remember this story. Remember Peter Ridyard. Remember the 44 souls lost, and ask, what else have we been told to forget? If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to help us tell more untold truths.